So let's talk about how, because earlier you mentioned something about this pattern or this constant of transition and birth into death back to rebirth and like this life cycle. Like, where do you see that showing up consistently?
Yeah. And I feel like that's with most things. I have to experience something for myself,
Okay.
to be able to navigate that within my work, or just like I can only take you as far as I've gone within myself. So
I'm glad you said that.
yeah,
That's important.
yeah, it's that I don't know. It's just I try to be very intentional and a lot of things with my work, but I make it personal too. But I had to go through a lot of my own birth processes. I think a lot of people, again, through COVID, through having to be with yourself a bit more, this being away from distractions, you learn a lot. And through sitting with yourself, sitting in silence, sitting with your internal self and going through like the depths of your inner world, there's no other way to come out of it besides different. You're going to come out a different person. So, and that's much like birth. You have through so much internally that there's no way for you to be the same person on the other side of that. So I witnessed my own birth and rebirth. And a lot of that even showed up in my menstrual cycle. There was a little period that I went through that replicated the very first period I had, and it was excruciating. And I had never felt that except for the first period that I had. And I'm like, oh, this is a rebirth. There's also a story behind how I got into my doula work, and that also was a transition of life, a death that led to birth. So through my own rebirth processes in navigating I'm still like kind of bewildered when I think of it, of like, what was that dark period? What was that threshold that I had to cross over to get to this other side and start embodying or being the person that I wanted to be. I think I'm still finding the words for all of that. But through that process of learning myself again, and going through that personal death, that ego death, all of these things, I see that life and death and that birth cycle shows up in so many other ways outside of just the birthing room, in the birthing space. I've witnessed that with my clients. I was speaking with one yesterday. I've witnessed her rebirth. I've seen she is a different person. And I see that with a lot of people that I end up working with in these different capacities, that you don't have to physically bring a physical life through your body to be reborn a lot of times. And that goes for anybody. So to be a witness to birth is always an honor to me, and it's really special.
And that's amazing. That's so you said that so beautifully. And it is like that, like you'll do it again. Like, you'll be reborn again. But how do you, like, what would you suggest for people going through that process and they are grieving that former self? Like,
feel all of that. Yeah. I think a lot of times we try to run away from the discomfort of death. I could say that personally, like not wanting to see something up close until I had to feel within my own body that feeling and witness it up close. So yeah, allowing myself to feel the feelings of grief, knowing that it's okay to miss people, it's okay to miss certain aspects of yourself, it's okay to miss or feel like, am I doing the right thing now? Am I in this? Yeah, am I in the space of life that I should be in? And the answer is always yes. Wherever you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be, and it's okay to miss what was. There's no way for you to not. So
be quite care. Like, the feelings aren't always going to be good. That's something I teach as a yoga teacher, and even as a doula, to like feel it. Like if you're in a down dog or a splits or whatever, like lean into what you're feeling. The feelings are information. Even on like as a woman's about to have her baby, like don't tense up or try to fight the feelings.
You have to breathe into that contraction.
Yes,
you have to breathe
you have to meet
into
it.
You have to meet it.
You know, and
That's
honor it and like sit with it. Because that, like, the contraction's not going anywhere.
It's going to keep coming.
They're going to keep coming.
So you're going to make it harder for yourself, or you're going to breathe right into it and just go with it.
And it's giving yourself space to feel.
Yeah, I love that.
And honoring that space and those feelings.
I think you wrapped up what being a doula is, and doula shows up in, again, outside of the birth space, it is honoring the space that is. That's really it. That's it.
Earlier in our conversation, you mentioned reconnecting to the body. And I want to know, or I'm asking you, how does body work or breath work show up in your practice with your clients? Like, how do you use the body?
Through feelings. So a lot of times,
right back to them.
Right, feelings. We're so disconnected from how we feel and why we feel certain things, but really we're disconnected from the body and where it's coming from. So I'll have people tap into, where do you feel, even if you can't name what the feeling is, where do you feel this thing in your body? And let's start describing it. Let's put, like, does it feel jabby? Does it feel hollow? What does it feel like? So being able to touch the place that is, and then speak from that place. If that area, if your belly was speaking to you right now, you say you having digestion problems or you can't go to the bathroom. If your belly could speak right now, what is it saying? And that will help you connect to what are you experiencing inside, and let's put a feeling to that. Where is this coming from? A lot of times we're so in our heads. It's like, I don't know, like, no, slow it down.
Yo.
Bring it to what is happening in your body. Don't try to explain it to me, but sit with the feeling. And then breath work shows up as send breath where you need it to go. And I learned that through my body worker that I go to, a Sanctuary Health. Her name is Jennifer. Beautiful woman, beautiful being.
Okay, Jennifer, we gotta check you out.
Hey, Jennifer. Yeah, so she would always send breath where you need it to go. And so I've just kind of taken that on and shared that with others too, where you just breathe life into that space wherever it is.
Yeah. That's so important. I again, bringing it back to mothers, I imagine that, like, after you go through a physical birth, regardless of the type of birth that you have, there could be some type of disconnection to your body. Like, I know specifically for me, I had an emergency C-section. Never wanted to have a C-section. I know it's crazy, y'all. But I thought that, like, oh, I'm a doula. Like, I would never go through that. Like, girl.
Still a human, still a person.
Control.
You ain't in control of none of this.
You ain't in control. You're the vessel. Like, and you have to be here and be present with whatever, happens and however this turns out. But I did go through a process where I just, like, thought my body failed me and I didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't, like, do yoga or do any kind of movement. And then I got into running. That's just something to do differently.
Yeah.
And felt like I was in a completely different body. I was like, I don't know this. Like, I know me, I don't know this. And I think that work like what you're doing is so important to just bring you back home, because even still, I sometimes go through it where I'm just like, this body feel weird. Like, this is not the body I had before a baby. Like, this is different. And I need to allow myself to grieve. Give yourself, time to grieve that, but also incorporate practices that allow me to feel to my body. And if you don't mind sharing, I would love for you to just, like, maybe guide me through a minute or so of, like, what you do with your clients to allow them to feel connected to themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. One way I like to center is hand on heart, hand on stomach. So just place where it feels it needs to go. And just tap in for a second. Rub. Notice any sensations.
I, like, intuitively just start rubbing.
Just want to
rub.
It must
be just like what I need.
That's
I
what
need
you
a rub.
need. Exactly. So tap into that heart space, tap into that core space, and notice what is there. And we'll just do 3 breaths. Whenever you're ready, deep inhale in. And on that release, send breath where you need it to go. Notice whatever sensations are present in those spaces. And take another inhale. And on that exhale, send breath to that sensation. We will do one more. And on this last exhale, send love and affirmation where you need it to go. Knowing that you are always present with yourself and that no matter what phase, no matter where you are, you always have yourself. You can always come back to this. All right.
Thank you. I feel a little bit lighter just from that. Like I feel like I can float off my seat a little bit. So thank you so much, Michelle. If you could tell our viewers where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, how they can book you. They see this.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram, _always Michelle. My practice is called Journey Home Wellness, so you can follow me on Instagram there as well. JourneyHomeWellness.com. I'm everywhere and nowhere all at the same time, so just find me.
All right, thanks, y'all. I will link Michelle's info in the description below. Thank you again, Michelle, so much for being here.
Thank you, Mia.